Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is an A2 level reading video and it's about traveling to Colombia and how to travel around the country once you are there. Right, so South America is a large place, and what do you know about it? What cities do you know? What languages do people speak? And do you know what countries are in South America? So just think about those questions for a moment. Okay, so Colombia is a country in South America, and read each statement and do you think it is true or false? So you can pause the video and try that on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. All right, Colombia has a population of 110 million. That's false. Their population is around 50 million. The country's name comes from the last name of the explorer, Christopher Columbus. That is true. Most Colombians speak both Spanish and Portuguese. That's false. Almost all Colombians speak Spanish, and only a few speak Portuguese. Colombia is the world's largest producer of diamonds. That's false. And the Amazon jungle covers 50% of the country. That is true. Okay, so what are these types of transportation called? And what other forms of transportation do you know? So this is a train, looks like a subway, taxi cabs and cars, and airplanes. There also might be boats, ferries, buses. And what are the advantages of each type of transportation? Well, this person says, I take a plane to travel long distances. It's more expensive than to take a train, but it saves a lot of time. So think about some advantages of some of these other forms of transportation. The subway, for example, you don't have to worry about parking or bad weather. A taxi cab, again, you don't have to worry about parking. So those are just a few advantages. All right, we're going to read each statement and then you'll decide which transportation is the person talking about. For me, it's the only way to travel abroad. I'm not going to take a ship to London from Sydney. Well, that person is probably talking about an airplane. I always take it to go to work. It takes 15 minutes from station to station. It's convenient and cheap. Well, that's probably the metro or subway. I live in New York, so I use it every day. It travels underground, so I don't need to worry about the streets and traffic. So actually, this one is probably a train because this one is the metro. So we'll switch those two out. And when I visit a new place, I usually want to get around easily. The drivers always know a lot about the city. Well, that is probably a taxi. All right, you're going on a 15-day vacation to Colombia. So think about these questions as we read. How will you get to Colombia from Los Angeles? How will you travel around the capital city? And how will you move around the country? You can either pause the video and read on your own and then answer the questions, or you can follow along as I read. You will arrive in Bogota, the country's capital, from Los Angeles. You will stay 2 days in the capital. Next, you will travel to the north of the country to spend a few days at the beach. You will probably visit some smaller villages when you are in the north. Finally, you plan to spend a few days in the beautiful mountains. So to get to Colombia from Los Angeles, you'd probably take a plane, traveling around the capital city, maybe taxi, maybe a metro if they have it, and moving around the country. You might take a bus or perhaps rent a car or take a long distance train. All right, busy means full of activity. Direct, moving from one place to another without changing or direction or stopping. Connection, another train, bus, or plane that takes you to another place. And low cost or inexpensive. And does your country have an international airport? Can you fly to other countries from the airport in your country? All right, plane. Bogota has a busy international airport. It has direct connections to a number of cities in the US and Europe, as well as Latin America. Low-cost airlines also offer cheap domestic flights to cities all over the country, and some smaller towns even have their own airports. So answer these questions about air travel in your country. Do you have a national airline? And does it offer international and domestic flights? Can you book flights on a low-cost airline? Can you fly directly from your city to another city? And if you travel to Paris, Sydney, or Shanghai, where would you make a connection? All right, a few more vocabulary words. Economical means giving good value or return in relation to the money, time, or effort. Clear is easy to understand. Avoid is to prevent from happening. Alternative, available as another possibility or choice. And fixed, not able to be changed. So taxi. Licensed taxis are bright yellow and they are usually easy to find. They are an economical way to get around. In most cities, they use a taximeter, so the cost of the journey is clear. The system in Bogota is a bit more complicated. Foreign visitors need to be careful to avoid being overcharged. Shared taxi. Taxis, also known as colectivos, offer a cheaper alternative to taxis. The number of passengers they can carry varies because some colectivos are cars, but others are small minibuses. Instead of running on a fixed schedule, you have to wait until they are full before they leave. Sometimes this means you have to wait for a while. So according to the text, does each statement refer to a private taxi or a shared taxi? So they are cheap to use. That is both. I think they mentioned that both of these could be. They're called colectivos, that is shared taxis. You travel with other passengers, that is a shared taxi. They use a meter to tell you the cost of the trip, that's a private taxi. And they travel when they are full of passengers, that is a shared taxi. Right, a few more vocabulary words. Extensive means large in amount or scale. Updated, more modern or up to date. Efficient is working in a well-organized and competent way. And peak is at the highest level. So bus. All big cities have extensive bus services. Some of them, such as the Milanio in Bogota, have recently been updated. The buses are modern and the service is more efficient than before the update. In most cities and towns, buses are the cheapest way to travel, but they are often crowded and slow during peak hours. So, do you ever travel on public buses? Here, busy means full of activity. We'll read about the metro. Medellin is the only Colombian city with a metro. It's a very popular way to travel around the city. The service is cheap and efficient, although it gets busy at peak times. And in your city, what are the peak times to travel? All right, so now you can talk a little bit or write a little bit about transportation in your city. So, in your city, what is the cheapest way to travel? Does your city have a modern bus and train system? Does your city have a metro? Are taxis a popular way to travel in your city? And what transportation do tourists use in your country? All right, so tomorrow morning, Jonas and Angela will arrive at the airport in your city. They need information about traveling in your city. Tell them how to get from the airport to downtown. They will spend 4 days in your city. What options are available to travel around the city? In particular, they want to visit museums, a few restaurants, and a place to buy great souvenirs. So tell them what are the economical options, what is the most convenient way to get around town, and what is the fastest way to get around. All right, that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share. And if you have any questions, leave those for me in the comments and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.